like to welcome everybody to the June 9th workshop meeting of Marlborough Township Board of Education, as well as the 15th Annual Marlborough Middle School Award Ceremony. Cindy, you can start.
Good evening, everyone. Mrs. Lee? Here. Mr. Dwyer?
Here.
Mrs. Eddings? Mrs. Not here. She'll be here later. Mrs. Cow?
Here.
Mrs. Lou Riddell?
Here.
Mr. Marshall?
Here.
Mrs. Matos?
Here.
Mrs. Rosenwald will be later. And Mr. Lalansky?
Here. Please be advised this meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, the Sunshine Law. An adequate notice of date and agenda has been sent to Asbury Park Press and News Transcript. It has also been posted and filed with the Marlborough Township Clerk. Copies have also been sent to each district school and other area newspapers in accordance with the law. I'd like to draw your attention to, but I'm not going to read its entirety, statement of videotaping, a public portion of Board of Education meetings, a public session statement, as well as no smoking on school grounds. At this time, it's my extreme pleasure to introduce to you Jacob Miller, who is our Student Council President and Jans Band member, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask everybody to remain standing after the pledge as our show choir will be performing the Star Spangled Banner. Everybody please rise.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the
There you go. Great job, everybody. Wonderful job by the show choir. Just before we get started, I just wanted to say a few words on behalf of the board. I wanted to really thank the administration here at Marlborough Middle School, as well as our teaching staff, for an amazing job this year, for showing here's rewards of your effort. I just want these students tonight getting these rewards. I want to, on behalf of the Board of Education, congratulate all the students here tonight for their amazing accomplishments in all these different fields, and let's give them a round of applause. I'm going to turn it over to Principal Milwaukee for the award ceremony.
Thank you, Mr. Bobanski. Members of the board, we invite you to come to the front of our auditorium this evening. Again, good evening, Mr. Lalansky, members of our Board of Education, Dr. Hibbs, staff, students, and all guests. Tonight we celebrate our students. It's just amazing to me how quickly 3 years has passed. It seems like just yesterday that we met in this auditorium to welcome you, our students, the class of 2015, to our middle school, and now we congratulate you for academic excellence and for becoming responsible and kind young adults. Tonight you will hear from our many staff members who will acknowledge our students for their leadership, contributions to our school community, and their academic merit. Let us now begin our 2015 awards program. We know that our school is supported by our Board of Ed, our superintendent, and our families of 1,065 students. And we would like to begin this year by acknowledging the many parents that played a huge role in our success. So, Mrs. Kulanovich, would you introduce our parents, please?
Absolutely. It has been a pleasure working with the PTO this year because of all that they do for the students. They never ask why. They never ask how much. They simply give. They give everything they have. They give their blood, sweat, and tears. We had our dance last night. The PTO did an amazing job putting together centerpieces, donating candy, having an amazing time for our 8th graders, and it's like that for them every day. Every day they give to our students. We want to just thank them very quickly by first mentioning the Marlboro Middle School PTO Executive Board. You can come up and stand here. Mrs. Grigoli, Mrs. Lavery, if you're here, Mrs. Raza, and Mrs. Ruzanoff, if you're here. To recognize Mrs. Lavery had amazing volunteers this year. Mrs. Alvigi, Mrs. Blitzstein, Mrs. Caporali, Mrs. Gelber, Mrs. Gershman, Mrs. Goldman, Mrs. Healy, Mrs. Hen, Mrs. Enriquez, Mrs. Kodara, Mrs. Louie, Mrs. Messinger, Mrs. Newstatter, Mrs. Panagaria, Mrs. Singer, Mrs. Thomas, Mrs. Ward, Mrs. Zeltzer, and Mrs. Zita for your amazing volunteer work leading our groups. All right. Moving forward, also, we would like to thank the PTO Dance Committee, Mrs. Alvigi and Mrs. Hen, who chaired an amazing dance committee. And again, the students could probably speak in volume. It was a great dance last night. So thank you. Again, thank you so much for all of the parents, for all your work, your donations towards the PTO, all of your time, energy, effort. We would love to have you all come back next year, so please remember to always join and support the PTO. Thank you.
I have the honor of thanking the music volunteers and the music parents that have really greatly contributed to Marlboro Middle School and the music program, whether through chaperoning, fundraising, or just being a great support to everything that we do in our show choir, jazz band, chorus, band, orchestra. The parents of Marlboro Middle School are really behind us and really make it happen. And there are several people that I just want to take a few moments to acknowledge by name. Mrs. Hillary Block, Patricia Sichter, Dawn Fittipaldi, Elise Geiser, Danielle Hartman, Ruth Lynn, Lynn Pisaccio, Barbara Rosenbaum, and Julie Zagari. And one last person that I always like to thank is Mr. Lalansky. Not only is he our Board of Ed president, but he is probably our greatest ally, greatest supporter of the music program. Every time a musical note is played, sung, or strummed here in the middle school, he's here to support us, and we appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
it's now my honor to turn our attention once again to our amazing show choir under Ms. Chandler, our director. Ms. Chandler.
My heart sings a
This is our 2014-2015 show choir. This is comprised of 7th and 8th graders who went through a rigorous audition last year. And these are 44 of the most talented students in our school, and I'm so happy I get to work with them every day. We went to Baltimore mid-April, and we competed in a competition, and we won gold. I'm so happy of them. As you can hear, they're very happy. I'm going to be calling out our students in alphabetical order. When you hear your name, just give a quick wave. Sydney Black, unfortunately, cannot be with us tonight, but we have Brianna Brabham, David Brunetta, Nick Campisi, Brianna Celia, Nick DeGangi, Tiffany Fang, Kayla Fittipaldi, Jen Francesco, Zoe Geiser, Rhea Granfield, Madison Grebler, Christian Hartman, Allie Heller, Haley Ignara, Juliana Cabilio, Tom Kaiser, Serena Kaufman, Valerie Klug, Victoria Koncevich cannot be here tonight, Amanda Lavery, Gloria Liu, Rachel Lustig, who did a wonderful solo, Zoe Morocco, Ishan Mather, Anita Memedaj, Danny Merlot, Luke Nesterovic, can't pronounce it, Luke, sorry, Mahek Patel, Evan Palea, Polly Petto, Catherine Pilato, CJ Pinero, Liana Policano, Kelly Chong, Zoe Shasha, Matt Sherman, Ali Slofkis, Lexi Spina, Gianna Tricomi, Eva Tolchinsky cannot be with us tonight, Kristen Villaverdi, who also had a solo, Allie Weitzman, and Natalie Zachary.
I'd like to announce that each year we recognize a student from each of our 8th grade teams who represents excellence in content areas. Come on in. The honorees, whom I will announce in just a minute, will lead our class into graduation this coming June 19th and will wear our academic medal, which is right behind me here, signifying that they have earned the highest average for students in their team for this year in this particular subject area. So it is my pleasure to announce the following award winners and academic leaders for graduation this year. And when your name is called, if you would come up, take a certificate. Also, please take a medal and then go all the way across and stand in the front so that we might recognize all of you at the end. You ready? In language arts, I'd like to recognize and commend Dylan Cohen. So perhaps I'll read through the names in the group and then we can applaud everyone. Okay? Thank you. Gianna Filippo, Zoe, we're not missing. Zoe Geiser, Megan Judge, Jeanette Lombardi, and Delia Russo. For honors language arts this year, it's my pleasure to honor Maria Morocco. You can go. Come on, stand up here. In mathematics, Anna Kai, Jacob Jacob Koshian, Hallie Mantelbaum, and Daniel Shulman. Come on up. In science, Jack Shujat, Dylan Cohen, and Mahat Patel. And in science honors, Nikhil Chakraborty. In social studies, Nirbi Desai, Meha Kumar, and Delia Russo. Congratulations. And in social studies honors, Talaf bin Minthala and Zoya Pander. In Spanish, Talal Bimanthala, Madison Rebler, and Louis Lee. And in French, Ashley Luca. Applied Technology, Paul Capuzzo. Maybe we can move down a little bit. There you go. Okay. In art, Sean Konichowski and Jeanette Lombardi. And in computers, Evan Sondheimer. And in chorus, Evan Palea. And in our band, Veronica Feather. And in orchestra, Danielle Berger. Where's Evan? Come on up. Evan Palea, our academic leader for our chorus program. Come on up. Would you congratulate with me one more time our academic Our next award this evening is the Alan Feinberg Volunteerism and Community Service Award. In September 2001, Alan Feinberg, a Marlboro resident, died in the attack at the World Trade Center. Mr. Feinberg was a fireman in New York City, raised his family in Marlboro, and volunteered in so many ways in Marlboro's youth activities. In his memory, the Alan Feinberg Essay Award Program was established and funded by his close friend, Mr. Bruce Barrett, who offered annual prizes that would be awarded to 8th grade Marlboro Middle School students. The essay was completely voluntary, was reviewed by our staff, and there were so many that came in this year. I would like at this time to recognize our award winners for this year. Their essays touched me in so many ways that I thought as I would introduce them, I would share just a little bit of their essay with you. Our third place winner is Stephanie Yoon. Where's Stephanie? Stephanie ended her essay by saying, as aforementioned, volunteering is simple and it has become a meaningful activity for everyone, adolescents and adults. When I volunteer, I am self-satisfied, I learn new skills, and I'm able to socialize with others. I also acquire a sense of altruism when I volunteer because I know that I am benefiting others and not just myself. Therefore, volunteerism is important to the community, and everyone should take action by helping others and improving our community. Congratulations. I'd also like to recognize our second place winner this evening, Sigal Kadal. Where's Sigal? Sigal ended her essay by saying, lastly, volunteering and performing community service is extremely beneficial for not just others, but for yourself. Once you have performed such a kind deed for others, you will feel so rewarded that you have helped the life of another human being. Think about it. If you donate clothes or food to underprivileged families, wouldn't you feel so refreshed and satisfied that you have done something to help benefit someone else? You will lighten up someone's day, and that should feel satisfying and rewarding. Volunteering and performing community service. Congratulations. And to our first place honoree this year, I'd like to recognize Nicholas Alvigi. To read the ending of Nick's essay. He says, I guess you could say my family not only believes in giving back, but believes in putting others before themselves. No, we're not perfect. In fact, we're far from it. But it's the little things that make the biggest difference. One small random act of kindness can go a long way, and the reward is more than anyone can be offered. Self-pride and the good feeling that comes after doing something kind follows any small act. The world is what you make of it, and although doing these small things like volunteering may not seem significant at the time, they make big differences in the big picture and make you a better citizen. Congratulations to all three. It's my pleasure also to recognize another award this evening, the Alan Robert Lang Memorial Award. Alan Lang was a staff member here at Marlboro Middle School for many, many years. He was a teacher in our applied arts department. Back then, it was known as industrial arts. And Alan Lang reached out to all students. He reached out in so many ways of encompassing his program to make it real life skills, to make it what was back then and is still today, a program that touched the lives of so many children because it taught them real life skills, in particular how to work with each other, how to work with machinery and tools at the time, and the role of citizenship here at our school. This year, we'd like to recognize for the Alan Robert Lang Memorial Award, Talab Binwintala.
Hi, I'm here to present the David Kaufman Award which is Community Service Award, which is sponsored by the Alliance for the Prevention of Alcohol and Drug Abuse. David was my late husband who died suddenly at the age of 38, leaving 2 small children and 1 on the way. He was a founding member of the Alliance, and he really wanted to make the community a very safe and welcoming environment for children. He was a dentist, and after his death, I found out about all these community service things he did that I never knew about. So it was important to me when the Alliance approached me about the award to present it to 2 students who are doing community service just for the sake of doing community service. They write essays in their social studies class and do not even know that they are writing this for an award. They think it's just an assignment that they have. We interview the students, and we are very lucky to have found 2 wonderful students this year who we hope will continue doing volunteer work and continue doing things just because they feel good doing it. The 2 students getting the award, receiving the award this year is Sean Konachowski and Kayla Fittlepalm.
Tonight I also have the honor of awarding the Ross Berchet Memorial Award. This was an award that was established by Mr. Manziano. Many of you know and love Mr. Manziano as our former band director. And he started this award in the memory of a student. And this particular student that in memory of was a student of high moral character, incredible musical talent, and outright integrity. The recipient of this year's award is Casey Ostick.
Good evening. The Marlboro Educational Foundation was founded in 2000 by none other than Dr. David Abbott. With his vision and your ongoing support, the foundation has been able to provide the students of Marlboro with more than $450,000 worth of grants. Because of his dedication to the Marlboro Educational Foundation and the children of Marlboro, the foundation will be awarding the Dr. Abbott Leadership Award to 1 graduating 8th grader from each middle school. The 8th grade students were asked to submit a paper stating what they thought made a good leader. The winner will receive a certificate, $100, plus their name on an eternity plaque placed in their school. The Marlboro Middle School recipient of the 2015 Dr. Abbott Leadership Award is Stephanie Yoon.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Geith. I'm the coordinator of the Marlboro Township Alliance for the Prevention of Substance Abuse. For those of you who may not be familiar with what we do, our goal is to raise public awareness about substance abuse issues here in our community. Back in November, we celebrate the Great American Smokeout, and the Alliance holds a contest. It's an essay contest. It's open to all middle school students, and the topic is why you think smoking is an unhealthy choice. The Board of Education recognized this winner at a past board meeting, and I'm delighted to be here to recognize her again this evening. Our winner is Dylan Oshera.
Good evening again. One of the things that every year our social studies classes participates in happens to be the geography bee, the National Geography Bee. And here at Marlboro Middle School, we were so excited when one of our own students placed 8th out of 112 participants in the state this year. And so with that, we would love to applaud Brian Pearlstein for his great work.
So now, if we're ready backstage, we're ready for our musical interlude featuring, are we ready? And we want to open our curtains? Featuring our Griffin Orchestra and Mrs. Gussie.
We're here to perform for you a beautiful piece called Turning Point. In front of it, we have about half of the Griffin Orchestra members that could make it tonight, and this is a combined group between the two middle schools, students from the 6th, 7th, and the 8th grade. So we'll go ahead and do our performance of Turning Point by Robert Longfield.
All right, this group was able to travel with Marlboro Memorial Middle School to Hershey, Pennsylvania, where they participated in the Music in the Parks Festival and did extremely well. I think this is one of the best Griffins groups that I've had in the past 4 years that we've been going to competition. And I just want to acknowledge the students' efforts. They performed and received a superior rating in their category. Out of 100 points, they received a solid 95. And yeah. And they also were tops in their category, middle school and junior high school orchestras. They placed first in their category. And in the entire competition, which is extremely unusual, their score was the second highest, including high school groups, jazz bands, choruses, and orchestras. I'm very proud of that. And the students that participated from Marlboro Middle School are Danielle Berger, please stand and read your name, Anna Kai, Sagnik Chakraborty, Megan Chen, Stacy Yuyan Chen, who couldn't be with us tonight, David Kim, Kathleen Lee, Bradley Louie, Mazurowitz, Millie Patel, and Alexander Snyder. In addition, I'd like to have Noah Lee stand. He was our soloist for Turning Point. And Mrs. Idell is going to join me on stage. We're going to share some accomplishments of our students. Tay Garrett.
Okay, we've had several students this year that auditioned for All Shore Band. That's basically an audition group in Ocean and Monmouth counties, and they play high school level music, and they performed it very, very well. The students this year that got accepted into All Shore are Amanda Kang on flute, Hannah Lee on flute, Annie Zhao on clarinet, Nikhil Chakraborty on tenor saxophone, and Thomas Lee on flute, who was inadvertently left off the program. We had two students get accepted into the Central Jersey Region Band, which is also a competitive group by audition, but it involves all the counties in Central Jersey. And we had Amanda Kang make it on flute, and Bill Kang make it on bass clarinet. Congratulations.
In a similar auditioned event, Central Jersey Music Educators Association puts together two chamber orchestras. One of them is a higher level acceptance and one of them is a secondary acceptance. And two students from Marlboro Middle School received this honor, Stacy Yuya Chen, again, who's not with us tonight, and David Kim on cello. From there, students can go on to All-State, and what that means is that all the students that made it into the 3 different regions then have the opportunity to audition again to become part of the All-State group. And we have had All-State members from Marlboro Middle Schools for several years, and again, Stacy Yuyan Chen, unable to be with us tonight, and David Kim. Inviting Ms. Chandler on up to the microphone to complete our music honors this evening.
For our first year, we sent kids to audition for New Jersey Honor Choir, which is the junior high division of All-State Choir. And we had 5 of our students get in, and all 5 of those students were ranked in the top 3 of the state. So I'd like to acknowledge Kayla Fittipaldi, Brianna Brabham, Thomas Kaiser, David Brunetta, who's #1, and Evan Playa.
In the center of your program, you see, if you were to count, 170 names of students. I'm not going to call them up to receive certificates, but I do hope to acknowledge all of them at graduation, and I would just like to share with everyone that the names of all the students that are listed here have been identified because over the course of 3 years, they have a final grade point average of 90 or above. Quite an accomplishment for almost 50% of our students. Math team. Mrs. Wilson. Mrs. Wilson.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to be here this evening to announce the many awards that the Math Club students have had this year. Beginning, please, with math counts. Please come up when your name is called, and let's hold the applause until everybody's up here. So math counts, the regional competition: Anna Kai, Eric Chai, Adam Leverant, Ravi Raghavan. Those were the students that made up the team. And please stay up here, gentlemen. And Anna. In the individual competition at Math Counts, competitors were Tiffany Fang, Dexter Fernandez, William Kang, Gloria Liu, Ivy Wang, and David Yee. As usual this year, I was very proud of them. Coming third place in the regional was just excellent. Moving on to the state Math Counts competition, 4 of these individuals ended up competing in the state competition. As you can see, they placed 6th, and they were Anna Kai and Eric Chai, Adam Leverant, and Ravi Raghavan. In the fall, we go to a CBA math competition, which is Christian Brothers Academy down here in Lincroft. And the team, and please just stay here even if your name is not on this list, because I'm sure your name is later. So this year the team came in 2nd place, and they were Eric Kai, Nikhil Chakraborty, Oliver Gu, Adam Leverant, Thomas Lee, Ravi Raghavan, Rohit Sivanathan, and David Yee. At that competition, Eric Chai placed 1st. The American Math Competition is given to all students in the building who are in the top level math classes. And this is a competition that is worldwide. And this year, Ravi Raghavan not only placed 1st in the school, but he had a perfect score. Ravi, come here. So Ravi, as you can see here, your name has been placed on the plaque, which will be in the main office, and sitting there, and you have the chance to do the same thing next year as an 8th grader, but this will be in the main office forever. So congratulations. Continental Math League is another competition that we are involved in, and 7th grade this year, that name again, Ravi Raghavan placed first. Tiffany Fang, Adam Leverant, and would those three please come up here again? Ravi, Tiffany, and Adam. Let me start with Tiffany and Adam. Tiffany, 2nd place. The company awards you with a medal, which is engraved. Let me make sure I'm giving the right one to the right person. There you are. And once again, Ravi, this year, and we don't get this very often, this year you had a perfect score in the Continental Math League. So, beautiful clap and great. The 8th grade winners of Continental Math League were Nikhil Chakraborty and Anna Kai and Stay. Anna didn't come back? Thank you, brother. So Nikhil, you came in first in 8th grade. Unfortunately, not quite a perfect score, but you were close, so congratulations to you. Next is the Sigma Math League, and the Sigma Math League, we compete here in the building on Sigma, and 7th grade awards go to, now I get some of my other friends up here, Mary Chen, come on up. And Adam Leverant, Thomas Lee, Ravi Raghavan, Sophie Zhang, and those students will receive a silver award for their participation and how they did on those competitions. Unfortunately, Sigma Math League usually sends their awards very late in the year, so they will get them, but just not this evening. On 7th grade, Gloria Liu, David Yee got 2nd place, and they'll be receiving a bronze award. And in 8th grade, gold award goes to Anna Kai and Eric Chai. Bronze awards, and just let me explain, there is a silver award. You have to get a certain percentage of questions right to get a silver award. We had no silver award winners in 8th grade, but we had bronze award winners, and they were Yang He, there's Anna, Dexter Fernandez, and that gets me to the New Jersey Math League. New Jersey Math League is a competition given in the building in February, and this year the 6th graders, who are not a part of Math Club, but we give it to 6th grade and they did excellent this year. 1st place went to Alan Raza. 2nd place, Jason Wang, Josh Rotkovitsky. 2nd place. 3rd place, Shadmir Khan, Ria Kumar, and Lon Silman. Seventh grade New Jersey Math League, and they did exceptional this year. We will be receiving a plaque from New Jersey Math League because they placed 2nd in the state. But New Jersey Math League individually, Gloria Liu, Ravi Raghavan. David E., all tied for first place. Second place went to Oliver Gu. And third place, Adam Leverett and Arushi Mandel. Finally, there she is. Finally, 8th grade. 8th grade, first place went to Eric Chai and William Kang. Now, Eric and William, I don't know if you know, but you also had a perfect score this year in Sigma, which really doesn't happen very often. Very good. Anna Kai came in second place. Amanda Kang, third place. And Talav Young Hee, Rohit Sivanathan, and Ivy Wang. I'd like to take just a moment to thank the students for participating in Math Club this year. It's sometimes a lot of work. It is a big commitment. Hopefully they enjoy it, and I certainly do, and I'm looking forward to next year's Math Club. Thank you very much.
One of the other competitions that we participate in happens to be the New Jersey Technology Student Association, and they attended the Middle School State Conference at TCNJ, the College of New Jersey. We're very proud of our students because the club is probably about 3 years old. Last year it got so large a number that we had to split it between an 8th grade group and a 6th and 7th grade group in order to have all of the students participate. And so this year we have some great representation at the competition. First place for website design, Neha Kumar, Amanda Lavery, Nivedita Nambra, and Alyssa Zhang. Please come on down. First place for video game design, Michael Neustatter, Jake Rubin, Sujal Saraya, Jake Schertzer, and Gary Zerkin. Second place, problem solving, Jack Shazet, Landon LeGrand. Second place, flight, Josh Ayen. Come on down, Josh. Third place, prepared speech, Riddhi Singh. To all of our winners, congratulations at the state competition.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Pacheco, and along with Mrs. Whitman, we are the advisors for National History Day. National History Day is a nationwide contest in which students choose historical topics relating to a theme and conduct extensive primary and secondary research through libraries, archives, museums, oral history, interviews, and historic sites. After analyzing their sources, students present their work in original papers, websites, exhibits, performances, and documentaries. These projects are entered into competitions in the spring at local, state, and national levels, where they are evaluated by professional historians and educators. This year, the regional contest was held at Rutgers University, and the state competition was held at William Patterson University. We are proud of the work that our students have accomplished, and we would like to recognize those students now. For an individual documentary on Martin Luther and the Reformation, we have Justin Chen. For a group exhibit on Mustafa Ataturk, we have Brandon Popescu and Alan Razak. For a group exhibit on Emperor Hirohito, we have Sachin Kuropada, Vid Malapa, and Josh Nesharovich. For a group documentary, we have James Tang, Teddy Wynn, Alyssa Thomas, and Sophie Zhang, who did their group documentary on George Eastman.
Good evening. A group documentary on J. Edgar Hoover, Insha Shabra, Ashley Kapadia, and Annika Argawal. A group documentary on John Taylor Johnston, Zoya Pander, Nidhi Namrath, Sean Chang, and Luke Wang. A group documentary on Margaret Sanger, Cindy Zhang, Joshua Oyoung, Eric Chai, and Ivy Wang. We are so incredibly proud of our last project. Only 2 performances were chosen from the state of New Jersey to compete in the national competition at the University of Maryland next week. Congratulations to Maria Maroka for her individual performance in Catherine the Great. We would like to thank all the members of NHG. It's been a pleasure working with all of you this year. We wish our graduating 8th graders continued success in high school and hope to see our 6th and 7th graders next year. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Beth Pepitone, co-advisor of the Marlboro Middle School Builders Club. Builders Club is the largest service organization for middle school students with more than 45,000 members worldwide. Members learn to work together to serve their school and community. Some of the fundraising drives we had this year, we started the school year with the Students Change Hunger campaign. We also raised funds for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society through our Pennies for Patients drive. And we also had an animal shelter drive. Those are just 3 of many fundraisers we had over the course of this year. I'd like to now call up the students who are members of the Builders Club for this school year. Sophia Election, Vincent Aquilino, Julie Aronson, Ria Aria, Jasmine Betachargi, Jonathan Bogner, Brett Bogner, Christina Bonarigo, Isabella Bonelli, Jamie Braverman, Marissa Braverman, Julia Brunetti, Dante Cano, Jack Chazet, Megan Chen, Allison Chung, Insha Chabra, Abigail Cohen, Thomas Dignan, Ariana Elgort, Samantha Fitlin, Benjamin Goldman, Katrina Henriquez, Achima Jane, Nathan Kahn, Madison Kenny, Sarah Knox, Skylar Cohn, Elizabeth Lee, Landon LeGrand, Benjamin McNamara, Jessica Messina, Catherine Messinger, Ishma Muman, Alyssa Knapp, Francesca Palmieri, Madison Karras, Matthew Pascal, Sydney Pesci, Meredith Fotis, Liana Policano, Gabrielle Reese, Alexis Rosen, Rebecca Russo, Jamie Simone, Simran Shah, Heather Shapiro, Iman Chico, Emma Steele, Julia Strapodano, Adhari Subramanya, Om Ukani, Timothy Wu, Lori Yankowitz, Emma Zarati. Thank you.
Again, a round of applause for our bridge builders. Thank you. Go ahead, gang, have a seat. They'll stay up here all night. On behalf of Mrs. Haston, who is the teacher here for the Honor Science program, she would like to personally thank all the students who participated in the Toshiba Explore Vision Science Competition. This is our second year in this competition. Last year we had great success, and again this year, success as well. 2 student teams have received honorable mention in the 2015 Toshiba Explore Vision Science Competition. Toshiba recognizes teams that score in the top 10% of all entries. The first group created a project titled Electro-Silk Blocks. The abstract states, electro-silk building blocks shaped like rhombic dodecahedrons, that can tessellate, can connect electromagnetically to form structures and allow buildings to remain intact, even during disasters. Wow. Wow. Participating students include Anna Kai, William Kang, Amanda Kang, and Ivy Wang. The second project, titled Lumiscope, is a future stethoscope aimed to reduce fatalities caused by heart and bacteria-related diseases while being convenient to users. It will allow doctors to quickly diagnose heart problems. Moreover, Lumiscope is designed to be user-friendly and reasonably priced for common consumers. Participating students include Mary Chen, Insha Chabra, Kelly Kang, and Alyssa Thomas. Mrs. Haston also entered the students this year for the first time in an e-cyber mission. E-cyber mission is one of several science, technology, engineering, and mathematics initiatives offered by the Army's Educational Outreach Program. 4 students submitted a project entitled Bug Fuel, the new biofuel. Each student won $1,000 savings bond for winning first place in the state and an additional $1,000 each for having one of the 3 highest scores in the region. We are very proud because these students had to do their presentation via a live Skype session after school. It was amazing to see the Army Corps on the other side judging. It was amazing to just be in the back, a fly on the wall watching this presentation. So I'd like to obviously honor our participating students, Nikhil Chakraborty, Justin Chen, Louis Lee, and Shreya Selvaraj.
And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Nancy Asher Schultz. I'm a psychologist here at the middle school, and I'm one of the advisors of the HOT Club, which stands for Hands Off Tobacco. Some of you may remember us as Rebel 2. We've sort of transformed and are now known as HOT. My co-advisors are Caitlin Brennan, who is the 7th grade counselor here at middle school, and Nancy Geist, whom you met earlier, who is the coordinator for the Marlboro Alliance for the Prevention of Substance Abuse. You're going to hear about their support over the next 3 presentations. HOT is an after-school club involving 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who have made it their mission to educate themselves and others about the dangers of tobacco, with the hope of preventing children from beginning smoking. What they have learned is that it's way harder to quit than it is to never start at all. So their goal is to educate their peers. They do it through different activities over the course of the year. This year they participated in our triennial HOT Fair, in which all 1,200 students in the middle school got to attend a health fair dedicated to teaching them about the dangers of cigarettes, e-cigarettes, smokeless tobacco, the whole range of tobacco products, as well as going to all of the 5th grade classrooms at the elementary schools that send their children here and educating those children about the dangers of tobacco, as well as helping them not be afraid about coming to our middle school. So we'd like to recognize our wonderful students. Can I ask all the HOT students, start lining up in the aisle so we can move quickly as we call your name. Go out that way, Jackie, if you'll lead it. As we call your name, step up. 8th graders, you're going to kind of go last, so hold on.
Okay, so we have Alexander Aquilino, Jasmine Batsharjay, Sam Broad, Olivia Bascamero, Jonathan Colosio, Joseph DeBlasi, Bryden Delaney, Yaniv Derby, Julia Facine, Jordan Fiore, Kaylee Freed, Edwin Gerdes, Ryan Glick, Avery Greenberg, Bianca Hershkovitz, Ryan Kaczynski, Kate Lasko, Jessica Luckenbach, Jacob Maltese, Robert Menino, Michael Papelcure, Gabrielle Reese, Lily Sandage, Chaitanya Singh, John Stracodonio, Anish Sarasani. And now we just want to take a minute to recognize our 8th grade members who have participated in HOT for 2 or 3 years. They were truly leaders this year as we took on the HOT Fair and our elementary school outreaches. So we have a small gift for you guys from the Municipal Alliance. Congratulations, and thanks for all your help. Okay. Garrett Seitland, Anthony DeBlasi, Thomas Stignan, Nicole Copiano, Jacqueline Giordano, David Kadara, Sigal Kadara, and Bradley Colquitt. And a round of applause for all of our,
We have one other acknowledgement. You may notice Thomas is wearing our HOT shirt. The design for that HOT shirt was submitted by Bradley Colquitt.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lori Reel. I'm the 8th grade school counselor, and I also co-facilitate the Conflict Manager Student Leadership Group along with Ms. Brennan. Conflict Managers is a program that students apply to at the end of their 7th grade year and are chosen for selection during their 8th grade year. And it involves a pretty intense process of written application and group interview and nominations and all of that. I'd like to take a second to thank the Marlborough Municipal Alliance, especially Mrs. Nancy Geist, who is our supporter and helps us coordinate so many details. Yeah, give it up for the Marlborough Alliance, they're amazing. So Ms. Brennan and I really are so proud to have this opportunity to recognize 20 absolutely amazing 8th graders that we have had such fun working with all year long. As conflict managers, their mission has been to help enhance the peaceful community within our school. They dedicate so much of their own time and their skills to their own training, and then they go out and turnkey those skills and training to their peers, their schoolmates, their 6th grade schoolmates when they do their outreach programs in their classes. That help teach 6th graders how to manage the everyday conflict in their lives. So we commend them for their team effort, and we're so honored to present them with the Peaceable Schools Award. So if you would help me there, Ms. Brennan. I'd like to recognize Nicholas Albigi, Eve Ambrosio, Erica Blackburn, Jack Chazot, Dylan Cohen, Olivia Conoscenti, Samantha Nikki Fitlin, Brooke Fopiano, Nicole Fopiano, Amanda Jacobson, Jared Katz, Jacob Cochin, Landon LeGrand, Emily Meja, Jordan Pace, Layla Rosenthal, Nicole Ross, Austin Raplat, Eva Shiro, and Timothy Wu.
Again, you remember me, I was up a minute ago, I'm Dr. A. This is Nancy Geist again, and Mrs. Gerard is the 6th grade counselor. And together we are the mentors for the peer-to-peer program, which is an 8th grade leadership program. I can't believe it's my 19th year doing this program. The mission of this program is to really get the kids thinking about healthy decision making. We start off talking about drugs and alcohol, but if you ask these kids, we talk about everything under the sun. They then develop leadership skills and they turnkey their knowledge to the 7th graders, going to the classrooms at least 4 times a year. They run an amazing family night that attracts over 100 people every year, and they collaborate with the HOT students this year on the HOT Fair. There are 2 classes. The first group we're going to call up meets one day, and then we'll call it the second group. But these are really amazing young men and young women who it is truly our pleasure to have the opportunity to call them our kids, because they are a terrific bunch. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Geist to call me.
Okay, from the ABC Day class, Jake Adlin, Nick Guerrero, Josh Gruber, Garrett Penn, Chelsea Hoffman, Megan Judge, Sadara, Anthony Lichardi, Alyssa Renza, Jake Rubin, Jake Scherster, Sophia Stewart, Bertie Kidabanza, Julia Strakwadani, Brianna Thompson, Callie Cleaner, and Madison Whitman.
Okay, we're not done. We still have our DEF class, so I'm going to, okay, we're gonna let them get a seat. Okay, this is for our DEF peer-to-peer class. Samantha Aronson, Michael Bolivar, Lindsay Cohen, Julia Comey, William Dean, David Kadara, Zachary Levine, Mia Lysandria, Matthew Mastillo, Bradley Polkowitz, Jordan Pollock, Madison Rallis, Alexandra Sabaro, Parker Semagram, Shanti Shah, Jessica Smith, Owen Trainer, last but not least, Garrett Zirkman. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Great job. We have one final performance group that we want to share with you this evening. So if we open the curtains, I believe behind the curtains is Mrs. Idell and our award-winning jazz band. And I believe you're going to hear Abracadabra.
I'd like to introduce the jazz band to you. I'm really proud of the hard work that they've put in this year. We went down to Annapolis, Maryland to play for the Heritage Music Festivals and we received a silver rating. I have never met a group of students that has been more team-oriented, working together, doing what needs to get done to make the finished product absolutely wonderful. I'm so proud of them and the hard work they've done. So, starting in the front row here, we have Ariana Asafa, Aiden Singer, Harry Alex, Nikhil Chakraborty, Ryan Walk, David Kim, Sivan Shulman, Teddy Nguyen, Matt Sichter, and Bradley Louie. In the second row, we have Annie Zhao, James Tang, Eric Chai, Nathan Khan, Will Kang, Megan August, Mary Chen, Amanda Kang, Thomas Lee, Ivy Wang, Hari Jane, Gloria Liu, Stephanie Yoon, Eliana Hanover, Cindy Zhang, and Sydney Tankard. Back here in the rhythm section, we have Casey Ostick. We have Luke Lang. Jeffrey Allentoft is also one of our guitarists, but he couldn't be with us tonight. We have Anna Kai. We have David Yee, somewhere back there. We have John Ricklin on drums. We also have Leo Carnavale, who could also not be with us tonight. We have Jacob Leonard on drums. We have Nathan Lynn, Jacob Leonard, Zoe Pander, Dexter Fernandez. What did I call you? I said Jacob Leonard again. That's Jacob Miller. I'm so sorry. Dexter Fernandez, Veronica Feather, Dave Walk, Avi Sarma, and Andrew Zagari. That is the 2014-15 Jazz Band. And without further ado, we present Abracadabra, one of our award-winning songs.
Amazing, and what a great way to end our program. To all of you who have joined us this evening, again, we thank you for giving us such great kids to work with. We hope you enjoyed our program, and we'll see you at graduation.
Okay, we are back in session, and that will bring us to our first public session of any item. Any member of the public wish to address the board on any item? Just need name and address and microphone. Check it out.
Hi, it's Lisa Kaplan, 2855 in Marlboro. I just have a quick question. There have been a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edery from Asher Homes. So I was just wondering if you can clarify if he will be returning to Asher Homes next year, and as much detail as possible as you can give us.
Well, that's again a public session as we normally do.
I can't. Am I on? Yes. I can't comment on anything staffing related as it's not public at this time. So I physically can't answer you. Okay? Or I could physically answer you, but it's not the right thing to do.
May I just ask one question? Will it be notified, will the parents of Asher Homes be notified?
Any and all administrative staffing changes, we will communicate to every building that could possibly be affected. Absolutely.
Anyone else from the public wish to address the board on any item? Seeing none, we'll move on to our policy development community relations matters. This is my reading, please. Ready for page 3. Page 3.
Superintendent of schools submits the following resolution for approval. 1, second readings, policy 5200, regulation 5200, policy 5600, regulation 5600. I so move.
Seconded by John. Discussion on policy development. Mike, raise a little bit.
It's on. I thought this was going back to see.
Pull it closer to you, please.
I thought this was going back to committee.
Mrs. Rosenwald's question is she thought this was going back to committee. In case anybody didn't hear. So. I was on the opinion that
weren't some of them tabled, others not.
Yes.
My
These were the
recollection.
ones that were not. These were the ones that weren't tabled, right?
the one table that we said going forward, if the committee meets again, we'll discuss whether or not they would bring regulations.
Yes. Yes, that's what I took out of last week's meeting, is that we're going to take back whether or not the regulations will be discussed under the purview of just administration or the board, and that last week certain policies and regs passed, some didn't, so some had to go back on as a second read.
Anybody else on these policies and regulations, second read?
I have something to discuss on it. I had spoken to the superintendent today. I'm sorry my voice is bad, so yeah, I got to see the voice. I had spoken to the superintendent today, and even though as a board member I don't feel comfortable telling the superintendent what to do with regulation, I had shown him something in the Freehold Regional regulation for 5600 that I thought was, no offense to Mark, but Mark isn't really a policy attorney, Strauss asked me to interpret policy. I felt that Strauss Esme's policy on 5600H was, I liked better, and I had shown it to, Dr. Hibbs and asked him to read it. And again, I like to know if he had read it and what he thought about it.
Mrs. Rosenwald definitely did contact me today and asked me to take a look at the Freehold Regional letter H. I did, and then afterwards I absolutely talked to Mr. Zittimer again. I'm absolutely okay with the language that exists under RH. I do believe that does give us a little leeway, and in talking to Mr. Zittimer, in his experience, this is language that he sees and has benefited other boards of education. So absolutely did. Mr. Vaughn and I did go through the Freehold Regional, and there are some differences, there are some similarities. Their language is different, their chart is different, they have different things in their chart. But yes, at the end of the day, I'm okay with this language after, again, talking with Mark.
Okay, so Mark asked me to clarify that it was the reg, not the policy.
Definitely, and that's what you said. You definitely did approach me on the reg, not the policy.
Okay, so, but Mark asked me to clarify what I was talking about.
Mrs. Rosenwald said policy meant regulation.
Yes.
Regulation, not policies.
Can we just turn them all on and leave them on?
No, you can't turn.
Can't turn them all?
Here you go.
Okay.
They're all on.
Okay. Is there anything else? Bonnie, is there anything else?
No, I'm just clarifying to Mark that he asked me if there was a chart. I wasn't looking at the chart, I was just looking at the
preamble language.
The beginning language.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Anybody else on the policies? Seeing none, Cindy, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ennie?
Yes, I don't know. This is the beginning. What exactly are we doing? Oh, okay.
Yes. Mrs. Cow?
Yes.
Mrs. Lou Riddell?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mrs. Matos?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosenwald?
I'm abstaining on the regulations. I'm voting no on 5200, yes on 5600 for the for the policies.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
And Mr. Lalansky?
Yes. I'm going to move this on to all business. Anybody have any all business report?
I have two old businesses. There were a group of people that stood up and spoke about.
We gotta turn around.
Okay, I apologize.
You've got to bring it to her now. Bring it up.
I'm not feeling well, so my voice is kind of gone. Can you hear me now? Mike, can you hear me? No.
We can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Very little.
I'll try to speak up. Is that better? Okay. And I apologize. I'm not feeling well. Parents stood up and talked about the acceptance data for the C-level classes and for the honors classes. And they spoke to me after the meeting, and I told them that it's going to get...
People closer.
Her mic is out. It's out.
There it goes again. I told them that I would drill into it because getting into the programs at Freehold Regional was near and dear to my heart because I was there when it was totally revamped during my tenure on Freehold Regional's Board of Education. And I didn't want us to be doing anything that would jeopardize our children getting into the programs. And at that point, I went in and saw Mr. Ballone, and he sat with me very patiently and went over all the criteria for the programs. He went over in detail everything that we are doing and that has been in place for the last 2 years. It is not something that we have put in place this year, but has been in place 2 years. As we even went as far, not me, but Mr. Blown went as far as calling Dr. Jeff Moore, who's the director of curriculum at Freehold Regional, and had a conversation while I was sitting there, and Jeff, who I know forever, actually laughed because the COGATs are in line with their test, their entrance exam. And their entrance exam is actually called, let's see if I have it with me, New View. And the New View test is almost identical to COGATs. And he himself said that our students actually have a leg up by taking the COGATs because they have practiced this test so many times through the years that walking into New View should be a walk in the park to them. They should have seen this through our COGATs so many times. Our children are increasing in numbers in all the programs across the board. You know, there are glitches up and down, but that goes with saying with every one of them. I went back and watched the Freehold Regional meeting where they talked about the overall applications to all the Learning Center and academies is down across the board. And what I would ask Dr. Hibbs, because I just watched that meeting, you know, after I saw Mr. Blown, is if we can find out what Marlboro's over the last 2 years, at least over the last 2 years, what their application numbers are, not percentages, but actual numbers into the programs are, compared to the other districts. He just gave that presentation, and I would also like to see what it is to the county system programs, how that looks, because for all we know, those numbers could be rising and the Learning Center and academies could be dropping. But for what I see is that our numbers are still on the upswing and Marlboro is still at the top going into these programs, as it always was. I'm very satisfied with, after hearing what Dr. Jeff Moore said on the phone, because I heard him, and seeing exactly what our criteria is to get into these programs, and understanding it in detail. And I really feel that we do not have a problem with our children getting into the C-level and honors level classes. So Dr. Hibbs and Mr. Blown have it really nailed.
Thank you. Can I just want to clarify, Bon, you want me to find out the numbers of children going into all different programs, both regional and then VOCs?
No, I want to know what the application rate is into the program.
The percentage of acceptance. That one? No?
I want to know how many of our children are actually applying to the programs.
Okay.
Because that would be an interesting number, because Mr. Sampson said at this presentation that the overall numbers are dropping for the applications into the programs. And I would like to know how Marlboro stands in the application process and to see if our numbers are dropping into those programs. And if there's any way to look into the county system to see if where those numbers are going up or if they are actually going down also.
Gotcha.
Some of the parents were saying that their children took the COGATs years ago, and when they looked at their scores, these children had been placed in C-level classes, but based on the COGATs, if we use the same criteria then that we do now, their children would not have been placed in C-level classes, and they would not have been placed in Algebra 1 in 8th grade. Therefore, they would not have been eligible for these programs. So some of the data that I would like to see, if possible, is to take the 9th, 10th, and 11th graders from now, if we still have it, not with their names, but look at those children's COGAT scores from back then and see if they would have still made the C-level classes, if we still have it.
I think what you have to be mindful of is that when the placement criteria changed, you can't say a child 10 years ago or 8 years ago would not have been in C-level because it was a whole different set of placement criteria.
What they are saying is that the criteria using the COGAT, that these children that are in the C-level classes that are currently in 8th, 9th, and 10th grade now, maybe not 11th, but 8th, 9th, and 10th grade now, that these children would not have made the cut because of what they scored on the COGAT then, which is what their concern is. So I think that was what they had mentioned last week. So
wouldn't a better course be to just simply have all the data in front of you about looking at longitudinally the numbers of students and our acceptances? And because at the end of the day, we're going to go back and we're going to rerun numbers on students that aren't even here anymore.
Right, but the point is that we've changed the criteria. We have. But what we're saying is, and the curriculum, but I get that, but what these people, we're missing what their concern is. And the concern that I heard last week was that the children that are getting into the special programs now would not have had the opportunities to even apply. That's what their concern is.
So the students that are currently...
Excuse me?
The students that are currently in 8th, 9th, and 10th grades, you'd like me to go back?
If you can, I don't even know if that's possible, but I think that's what they were saying.
COGAT would have existed at least the last 2 years. Before that,
only for GNT.
Only GNT took
Maybe. Well, but that's what, okay, I understand what you're saying. But so,
if I can look at possible students that took the COGAT, I could absolutely do that. If they didn't take the COGAT, you're comparing apples to oranges.
Right, only because my concern is because then we're not answering the question that they're asking. And then we're just going to keep going around and around. So we have to figure out a way to answer the community's question.
Sure, and I understand the questions. The questions that are being raised are, A, students that possibly should be qualifying for our C-level are not making it. That was one. The other one is our placement criteria is inflexible so that there is no opportunity for students from.
But I think with that you said we will do a deep dive.
Absolutely. And we'll do a deep dive, as I said before, but sure, I'll be happy to pull out both what Mrs. Rosenwald asked for and Mrs. Ennie, which would be looking back at all the students that I can gather COGAT data on to see what we can put together for you. Not a problem.
I think that's what they were asking.
Not a problem.
I do have a question. I will try to, before Brown, try to talk with Dr. Hicks, right? The currently see the quite a few kids in the elementary school going to be in the honor class, right? The criteria we have the CTB4. And then we have the GPA, so-called average score as percentage, 97%, and the COGAT. And the kids, so they're doing so well in the Richmond and give the talent in the program in the state elementary school. They meet all the criteria, maybe only 1 point, say the one time the COGAT, they fall into trap. So they cannot get into the honor class. So I think the criteria is too rigid. We have to do the deep diving, how we do the qualification. Cannot because in the 1 point difference, to lost the chance to get into honor class. That's one of the point. How can we changing for this. I look at the criteria, check the website, what criteria we have. We have the CTP4, we have the GPA, we have also the COGAT, non-list COGAT. Offset a lot of the kids go to the, go to honor class or even go to the high school, mentioned in the learning center academy, That's what we're trying to, we can find out data.
Sure. Sure. A couple points of clarification. We don't use the CTP4 anymore, so the COGAT replaced that. And it's important to understand when we talk about, there's two different discussions that are going to take place here administratively. One will be C-level, and the other is honors. Honors, it's important to note that you're skipping 2 grade levels. Mm-hmm. 2. So whatever we decide for the C-level classes, there might not be a lot of flexibility with the honors, because the honors is skipping 2 whole grade levels. That's an extraordinary feat for any student. So to open that door, I'll be willing to think, but when we talk about possibly being flexible, in my opinion, educationally, you can be flexible with the C-level classes. So if you wanted to say, for instance, we'll do a deep dive on kids, teacher recommendations, possibly using an end-of-the-year math assessment, and we had a very long discussion about this today with Mr. Ballone. That's something we absolutely can do administratively. When it comes to honors, though, you have to be very careful, because you're really talking about going 2 grade levels above. That would be a math student leaving Marlboro, completing geometry. So with that, you have to be very mindful that that's going to be a very select few. That's not the majority of our population. And I don't think we're missing children when it comes to honors.
But we would like to discuss with you, maybe to see with the qualification. And then you mentioned a deep dive, one case by case study, see how can we fit into the curriculum. So we encourage our children to study, encourage challenging for in the next academic school semester, right? So that's number 1 from elementary to our middle school. From middle school to high school, we want our kids to get into more learning center, more academy. That's our goal, to see what is the percentage and what is absolutely number of students getting into the academy and the learning center. But that's usually how.
I thought just heard you say that our percentages in the academy, you confirmed are good.
We are going up with the rest.
We're still very high.
We've gone up in the academies, and we have our glitches up and down in certain programs. But that is normal for any learning center academy. But in general, our overall numbers are actually climbing. What I wanted to tell the board was when I sat with Mr. Ballone and we went over the CTP4s and the COGATs and and our Lexile levels. As I said, he went over this in detail with me. I knew it, but again, I wanted him to really explain it to me because I had so many parents complaining to me. And this is not the board's purview to interfere in this. This is an administrative decision. But I wanted to fully understand it. So when parents contacted me, I had the answers for them. CTP4s are made up of 2 parts. They're made up of quantitative reasoning, which was aligned with COGATs. And it was made up of also reading comprehension, which was aligned with the Lexile levels. So what this did was, quantitative reasoning is something that children cannot study for. It is something that is very obtuse. It is you can't study. And Michael Ballone shared anecdotally with me how parents were buying the COGATs for $200, calling up his office and saying, what workbook are you using? What page are you using as the answer sheet to help their children prepare for this? We can't do this. It happened at the Freehold Regional also with InView for their yearly test. You cannot study for this test. I would love Mr. Malone to come in and give a couple of examples to the board as to what these examples are. I actually took a test for the state a number of years ago, 15 years ago, and this was this type of quantitative reasoning. It's not easy. And as it was told to me on the Freehold Regional level, these kids go in and they think that they can answer the 1, 2, 3, and you can't. Most of it, it's not about math. It's not about what it appears to be on the test. It really is a lot about following directions, and they don't understand that. And that's where they get tripped up. The Lexile levels are our Lexile levels, and we have been using Lexile levels. So we took the test, split it in half. The apples to apples part of it, as Mr. Malone talked about, because I went back and watched that part of the meeting, is the quantitative reasoning part of it, which is the COGATs. And as I said, the COGATs are really preparing our children to going into this new view test and giving them such a leg up that Jeff Moore laughed when said, you know, we have parents talking about it. Parents told me that they were being told by people at Freehold Regional that our children were being hurt by this. He wanted to know who was telling them that, because there's only 3 people who talk to the parents about getting into academies and learning centers, and name the 3 people. I know 2 of them. I don't know the 3rd person. And one of them I know intimately. So I would really like the parents to stand up and say, who are these people? Are they the directors? Are they the teachers? Because if it is, we need to have the director of curriculum sit down with them and say, well, why are you saying this? Because it's not true. They have documentation to prove that it's not. And he said that he would supply it to Dr. Hibbs or Michael Malone. It's not. And then I went, as I said, back to the Freehold Regional meeting where they talked about this, about all Freehold Regional, and which is why I came back to you and said, could you please find out that other information so that we would have that piece of the puzzle, so that when parents came up here, we had that to give them also. But as far as the our criteria, I'm very comfortable with it. You cannot go back and look at the CTP4s because it isn't applicable. We really don't have, you're going back, and that would be like me saying to you, let's look at my gesundheit. You sneezed on the truth. That would be like you going and saying to you, let's go back and look at my daughter's year, the year that she was accepted into Med-Sci, and say, okay, well, would she be accepted into the learning centers today? Jeff Moore said they rely heavily on their test. 5%. Exactly. And their test is the interview test, and we're giving the leg up. That's like me. When my children were in 7th grade, they were able to take the SATs. And I said, great, take the SATs. All that's going to do is give you a leg up in taking the SATs when you had to take them. The SATs when you were a sophomore. They took them 7th grade, they took them 8th grade, they took them in sophomore year, they took them junior year. It only gave them practice into taking the test. So it's the same thing. So as I said, you know, this was the information I got, and I wanted to give to the board.
Joanne, I know you have a meeting scheduled with Dr. Hibbs. Why don't you take that meeting with Dr. Hibbs? Do that deep dive with him, and then if you have any other questions. Good? Thank you. Anybody else on old business? Seeing none, anybody new business? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say this was the first year both middle schools had their 8th grade dances off the premises. And I wanted to say on behalf of Marlboro Middle School, it was a success. I was on the committee, it was smooth, the kids behaved. I thought the principal did an amazing job as far as coordinating, and I publicly want to thank Marlboro Township's Police Department, Sergeant Fox, Rob, and Sergeant Bernadette Peters. Peter. They came, and because there are SROs in the schools, the kids, not only they were there to protect us, but they were there, loved seeing them. I know one of them was arm wrestling some of the kids and stuff. It was just a fun time, but I hope that they can carry the tradition on of taking it out. The kids had a great time, and it was a lot less work for the mothers on that committee, and they really loved it. And that's what the balloons were from. We brought them so we could bring them here for the awards ceremony today.
Some pictures that look fabulous.
It's a fabulous time. So Debbie will talk about memorials.
Yes, memorials went very well. We thank the Sterling Gardens, Officer Hayes, Aberdeen Police. It went very smoothly, and thank you to you, Dr. Hibbs, and our administration was amazing. I mean, Mr. Pacifico, Ms. Labuza, Mrs. Sardio, they were just, and their teachers were just, we had 21 teachers come. They were amazing. The kids were so happy that they were there. It really ran smoothly.
Thank you for both those reports. Anybody else on new business? All right, seeing none, we'll go to our final public session, open to any item. Anyone from the public wish to address the board on any item? State name and address at the microphone.
Bonnie Gabazon, 2 Harvest Court. Hello, everybody. I'd like to speak about criteria, as we were talking about, into C-level and honors. Sounds really loud. And is it really loud?
No, it's not yours.
Okay. And honors classes. I would like to suggest something. With all the testing and data, why do we do all that? If we're going to have all this testing and all this data, then I think it's a big responsibility to ensure that students are properly placed. I believe there should be strong criteria for entry into C-level and honors. And as Dr. Hibbs stated, it should be even more stringent for honors. Nobody debates that. I think that, however, we have a lot of criteria that is and. Whereas if you look at even the high school level for graduation, there are criteria with a couple of ors thrown in there, and I hope you understand what I mean. And I think maybe with kids this young, we need to have a couple of ors in without criteria. I think what would be really helpful in catching kids that might be candidates for other placement, higher placement, a form for teachers, simply, in addition to all the criteria that we have one more criteria, and let that be a form for teachers, simply asking, if they feel that the student is correctly placed, or do they need a deeper dive into demonstrating their abilities. I think that would make teachers feel valued, which I think they feel less and less that their input is valued these days, so it could have a positive effect in that way. It would also prevent parents having to be hyper-vigilant and on top of every single criteria for every single placement. You have somebody like me, who's aware of that and stays on top of that, but not everybody is, and this is with no judgment, not everybody is as willing or able or involved for many different reasons, and they shouldn't have to be. Teachers are a good catch-all to say, hey, this kid is, I don't feel that the simple COGAT score is an indication. I had a personal, so you talk about, honors level, even me being very aware of criteria, having a student in 6th grade, he's in C-level classes, he's in honor classes, coming from 5th into 6th grade, he didn't get into honors, science, and math, and I wasn't as aware back then, and I didn't pay too much attention. We were going from elementary school to middle school, and I left it alone. But he's a student who is clearly gifted. He was in Reach, he was in high reading, high math in elementary school, came into middle school, again, all C-level and honors classes, and didn't get a letter home about taking the COGAT again, and I wouldn't have known about it at all, but he came home on Thursday and said, other kids got a letter about me taking the COGAT and to get into honor science, how come I didn't get one? So then I got right on it, and it took me quite a few days that we've been finding out why he didn't get a letter, how does he get a second look, and here is a kid who is self-motivated, clearly would thrive in honors. I have no question about it. I would never want my child placed incorrectly. But my point is that here's a kid who's the best, among the best and brightest of students, and I say that with confidence, and would excel, and me being hyper-vigilant and knowing, you know, all about the criteria, and still it was like, you know, from Friday until today to have him, you know, retested for the COGAT that he took, you know, over a year ago. It's given every other year, so that one, you know, I think it's important that we're looking at all the data and we're thinking about, all right, let's look at the kids going into high school and looking at all of this. So just my point today is that teacher input would be a great criteria to add, and a couple of ORs in our criteria. Thank you.
Anyone else in the public wish to address the board?
Amy First Toll, 7 Jefferson Road. Good evening. I got a little bit confused while you were talking about the criteria, so I do have a question. The CTP4 was taken away. However, it is a standardized test, and I want to know what we replaced the CTP4 with. The COGAT is not a standardized test, by no means. Lexile level, their GPA, our common assessments being used as a standardized test. We haven't replaced it, and saying that we took the CTP4 and broke it up into 2 parts, partly being the COGAT, which is not a standardized test, and I can explain as to how it should be used, and we're not using it the right way. And just to clarify, there are several issues that we're speaking about here. As parents, we went back to see 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, children who qualified then, who are now in 7th grade. They would not qualify now. They would not be in C-level placement if they tried. So to do that data, you know, it took us a couple of days, and we're parents. We've also offered the information, and we will have tomorrow on the data that we're looking for that I was hoping you were going to present back to us today, because the information is tough for us to get. You have all the information. It's very easy for you to get. So we have that information. So to answer the question, no, those children would not be in C-level math, which would then not let them apply into some of the specialty programs in the high schools. For example, Marlboro High School Business Program or Colts Neck Law Program. They need C-level math, and my son, luckily, he is in C-level math, and he will be grandfathered next year. I'm contemplating in regard to math honors and science honors. So my son was one of the children who was 1.5 to 2 points off of the COGATs, but he did have the remaining criteria. So taking the COGATs out, he would be in math honors, which I believe very strongly that he should be in, and science as well. Science for him is more important, it's more important for me, and Dr. Hibbs, I understand in regard to math honors where you are skipping 2 grades. So instead of having Algebra 1 next year, which he'll have in the high math class, he would go straight to geometry. So he'd be learning 9th grade math. And then he would get Algebra 2, geometry, so maybe he would be a little bit lost, missing out on Algebra 1. I think that's what you were trying to say by skipping 2 grades going into the math honors. So I think science honors may be something that would be very appropriate for him. And the only thing keeping him out of both is the COGAT. So he retook them, and we'll see how he does. And then we'll discuss, you know, student by student, what kind of deep dive we can take. And then again, if you could please go back and look at the data that's very available to you, just in regards to kids who wouldn't be able to apply now. We already know that because they're not in C-level math. I understand being more flexible with C-level math versus honors, and that was really my only concern. I wanted to clarify for you that those kids would not be able to apply to the high schools. They wouldn't be in high math, and most of them wouldn't be in honors now, who are doing well in honors now. So that's what's happening with the criteria. You have not replaced the CTP4. So you don't have a standardized test in place. I don't know how much you know about COGATs. Mrs. Rosenwald gave very good examples of what it tests for. So I want to know who made that okay, the quantitative reasoning portion of the COGAT, to justify whether a child should be in science or not. What's making you say that that's okay? And is somebody else telling you that the COGATs can replace the standardized test? And you're good to go. And combining that with the Lexi level, their grades, I don't believe in all the criteria. I think there needs to be more flexibility, and I'm hoping by what you said previously tonight that would happen.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public wish to address the board on any item? Seeing none, sir.
Okay. So we've had lots of good discussions regarding placement. I'll be very honest about something that I think needs to happen, and I do think there needs to be the addition of an or and not always an and. One of the things, if we just talk about math, if we talk about a C-level placement, a child in 3rd grade, for instance, it's important to note that with the change in how of our standards, essentially, the Common Core turned everything upside down, where students are only exposed to certain standards, certain concepts on a yearly basis. So a child who then in 3rd grade would go into C level is really going to take 5th grade math, which means essentially they skip all of 4th grade. So one of the things that we are discussing right now as an admin team is the addition of an end of year 4th grade assessment for students that possibly miss one criteria. Here's what I promise we'll do. I promise that we will not only reflect, we look at our data, we will constantly revise our placement criteria as it needs to be revised in order to best service our children, which is what we are here for. We are here to give all of our kids opportunities. So in that vein, yes, I am fully aware that the COGAT is not a standardized test like the CTE4. I understand. How did that placement criteria come about? The CTP4 was no longer going to be a test that not only fiscally worked for the district, but also was going to work in general because it was not Common Core aligned. So with that, we went Lexile, we went COGAT, we went Common Assessment. But one of the things that I just mentioned is that what we don't do, that I think we possibly should do, is to evaluate our children on what they're going to miss and see how they fall. So what we're going to do as an admin team is to come back and look at the reflective numbers, and we're going to make suggestions, and we're going to improve the process if it needs to be improved. You have our word, I will 100% do that. But what we're not going to do is we're going to ensure that our children have the opportunities to do well and to succeed at either the learning centers or the VOCs, wherever they choose to go. Okay?
I'm going to read the executive session resolution. Be resolved in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Marlborough Township Board of Education shall conduct a closed executive session pursuant to personnel and legal exceptions prescribed by NJSA 10:4-12 for the purpose of discussing personal matters including non-aligned staff 2015-2016 school year salary proposals. Anticipated length of time in executive session will be 45 minutes, and action will not be taken in public after executive session. Be further resolved that the minutes of executive session will be released in the confidentiality in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12. No longer applies. Seconded by Debbie. All those in favor? Anybody against? No. I'll now make a motion to adjourn to executive session. Seconded by Vicky. All those in favor? Anybody against? No. I adjourned. Okay, we are adjourned.
Adjourning into closed session.
Adjourned into closed session.